Hello friends and followers. So it's not a perfect camera angle to show you this board going back in the Omni 6, but I will try my best. I have the little phone here, iPhone on top of the iMac screen at the very top, which is not a very good perch for it, but that's what I have. Don't have anything real professional here to hold the phone, so anyway, put this board back in. I'm just going to follow the steps I did to get the board out. You're going to take this off. Anyway, the way to tuck this thing back in, it's a pain, but this goes forward toward the back of the radio. Here's the back. And you want to angle it in like this and make sure the plugs all... These back plugs, which you can't see on the camera, are a pain to get in. But anyway, let's get this thing back in here. So I'm just carefully... And you want to get these two wires, which are off there. These two wires quickly figured out where they go. Now, there's standoffs here, so you want to make the board go above the standoffs. And you want to pick up these wires back here and get them above the board because there's not much room to put this back in here. And it's not easy. So I'm just kind of, you don't want to force anything and break any plugs or wires. But yet, this is really a headache, so these back plugs will give you a bad time. So just kind of feel what's hanging up things, and now I can feel that these are hanging up things. So just kind of pick these up and get them onto the board. And once the plugs are out of the way, then set the board down and put in the screws. So you want to get it so that it's on the little standoffs first, if you can. And now I'm close to the standoffs. And once you're on the standoffs, you can set the board down and start to place it. So now I see that I have to fiddle around with these back plugs, which you can't see on the camera, I'm sorry. But I'm just picking up back plugs to get them situated, and then this board will go in. I'm using needle nose to kind of pull them up if I can, which may not be the best way to do it. Yeah, you want to get the board as forward as possible. And I am as forward as possible. There it is. And you want to make sure there's no wires underneath it. It's kind of an art to get in here again. There isn't much room. All right, the back plugs are at least above the board. There's like 6 back plugs here. Okay, now I'll make sure these wires are not tangled up, which they are. Bring those to the top. And now look at your side wires and make sure none of these are being sacrificed under the board. And just kind of pick them all up, make sure nobody's being taken under the waves, the undertow of this board. Now that's all good. You want to pick the board up by a chip here or something, and actually that's not going to work. So I'm going to try and pick the board up through the hole with these needle nose and see carefully and see if I can get it on the standoff back here above the standoff. Pick it up. Something's stuck. Okay, I did get it above the standoff. And now you want to keep picking wires up to get them above the board with the needle nose. I'm sorry, it's off camera. And once that's done, okay, all my wires are up. Then you want to scoot the board around, make sure it will move, and put the screws back in that hold it to the standoffs and the chassis. I'm still not clear of something here. Okay, I can see one stud. Okay, no, I'm good. So if you now see the holes here, hole for the screws, there's a hole here, a hole here, a hole here. There's one back here, one back here, one there, one there. Now it's time to put the screws in that hold the board down. You really want to get a magnetic screwdriver if you can find one to hold the screws like that. That's really handy, right? And just start putting them back in. Don't tighten them all the way down. Leave a millimeter proud so that the board still can wiggle about, because they all don't line up exactly, and you want to wiggle the board a bit to get it to seat on all the studs. So that's what we're doing now. I hope this board doesn't have to come out again. It's painful getting it out twice. That would be the third time. Anyway, you just want to be careful. Don't break the board. Put it in carefully. If you're in a hurry and a doubt, do it later. These radios take a lot of time and patience, and if you're in a hurry, you could break something just from frustration. So I was changing the key fob battery on our Toyota Prius, and I broke one of the tongs for the battery, little plastic thing, because I was in a hurry. So don't do that. Luckily, the key fob still works for the new battery. Every 2 years or so, the key fobs go down. Maybe it's every year. All right, there's a screw under there that I have to get. The magnetic screwdriver is a must. One more screw to go to get this board on here. So once this board's lashed down, you can start putting in the plug wires that are all numbered, but those themselves have issues. As I found out last time, I had a few that weren't aligned right. They were off by a pin or something, so this time I'll be a little more judicious in putting these together. Make sure no wires are caught under these screws, and then tighten them down just gently, not real tight. So I'm tightening the board down now. I'm not really going crazy tightening it, just snug. You don't want to crush the fiberglass. It's a pretty thick board though. Okay, tightening down all the little stays here. There's one under there, right there. And don't leave these screws loose, because they'll eventually fly out. If you're shipping the radio somewhere, they'll eventually pop out. Okay, now all these are numbered, of course, in the Tec fashion. This is number 2, and just kind of look through here for the corresponding pins. If they aren't obvious, just skip them and get back to them later, because you'll have less wires. So I could start putting these cables in. There's 3 of them, and they're also labeled. These are a pain to get in, but this one's 84 or 54, 84. Okay, 84 is right here. And to put these in, it helps to look at the pin and see if it's going in straight. Don't bend it, don't put them too tight, just gently try and get these to line up, and then push them in. It's an art and not a science. Okay, that one is in. These two, this is 56. 56 goes here. And it goes. 54 is the remaining cable, goes into here. Good, now we're making progress, right? Start putting these on, and be cognizant of the pins, and don't skip by a pin. Just match the numbers. Here's 97. Make sure little tooth at the end is going to the catch. Don't make them backwards, it'll cause a short. Here's 87. 66 and 64. And some of these just kind of are just where they go. The wires are cut in such a way that they'll just go in easily. So just keep that in mind. Just start stuffing them in carefully. Don't make mistakes. Just get them all in. And I hope this fixes it. There's 66 going in there. I'm sort of impaired now because I had an event, a medical event. I can still do this, but I'm slower at it. All right, and I see I'm missing one wire here. And that's lucky number 88. And 88 goes there. So you kind of just will notice things that are loose or missing and just put them in. Sometimes you can't line these up and you'll get frustrated. When I do that, I just leave them alone for a while and do it later. Okay, that one's in. So now these back ones are a real headache. This one is 69 and 72. 72 goes here. 69 goes here. All right, those are all in. Can start working on these over here. This one is probably gonna go where it's laying around, but this one is number D, delta D, that's where it goes. D for dog. This one is 68, goes there. Right next to a red variable capacitor. Okay, and now the worst ones of these are the back wires. Because, okay, now here's something to note. This 41A and 34 go right next to each other. And there is a pin that hangs out on this side. So this pin here will be left over, as I recall. So 41A, make sure it's justified perfectly on here. It will line up left pin used. Now snug 34, even though there's 3 pins here, 3 pins, 1, 2, 3, and 34 has 2 pins on it, so snug it up to the 41. Like that, and there's a pin left over here. That's okay, just forget about that. That's how they had it. That's how it's wired. Okay, 94. Make sure this is lined up correctly. On it goes, 95. Yeah, I had a few of these like off last night that were just sort of not lined up right. It wasn't great. And the radio came on, it goes, whoa, and it turned off. So luckily they must have some foolproof stuff in this thing that realizes that things are bad and it shuts down the power. Thank goodness, right? All right, so there's a wire that goes here, but let's finish these back ones first. So 96 looks like it goes there. So I had these mucked up last night too. I'm going to start with 83 and get it on here. I'm going by leftmost. I'm going to snug 82 next to it. Leave no pins open, and now I'm going to put on this one. And I'm not really looking at the symbols. I'm just jamming it on here because I can't see them. Just jamming them on. And I'm only snugging the wires up so that there's no pins open on one side. All these pins should line up except for that one connector I told you about, the 41A. Okay, these are hard to get in sometimes. And if they don't go in, they're not lined up, don't force them, please. Just go slow. There, when they line up, and you can see there's a gap here. This one kind of lines up, and this one goes in backwards, so it doesn't line up perfectly visually, but that's how life goes. All right, we're down to a few. Here's some that are lying around, and those go here. 52. These are off cam, I apologize. 52 and 63 go here. Now we're going to do these back wires here. 59's the last one on the side here. 59 alpha, that goes into here. Okay, it's probably off cam, but, and there's a wire here called 90, goes in the back. So I sure hope this works. First time. I don't want to take it back apart. I hope I didn't make any mistakes on it. All right, now I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wires in the back, and that's it. I know the back is off cam, and I don't know how to get the cam showing the back here. Let's see. I guess I can move the radio a bit over, huh? Let's do that. I'm gonna move the radio into cam range for the back wires. All right, let's do that so you can see what's going on here. How's that? So I'm working on these back wires now. And just make sure you don't skip a pin. So if you get this 99 lined up correctly, you should be good to go. This one has 3 pins on it. This is number 80, put him on or her on. This one is number 98. Get that one on here. Make sure you don't skip anything. That one's solitary pretty much. Here's 91. All right, and this big guy here is 92. Just make sure it's all lined up. This is number 93. Last one. That doesn't look good though, does it? Doesn't look good at all. This one's standing up a bit, but it's probably fine. Okay, this one's the last one. Get that one on there. And now check for pins that are not lined up. Give it a quality check. Looks good. That's on there. Quality check here. 41A and 34. There's one pin here that's not used. These two are snug with each other. Check all those. They look fine. Check all these. It's hard to see those. Check these. Well, I think I did a better job than I did last night. So now it's just a matter of getting this A wire on here. There's where 2 goes there. Excuse me. Okay, we gotta get A wire on here. I don't see that one. Okay, that's a 3 banger here, and that goes there. Okay, is that on there? I suppose it is. All right, well, you want to check these again so you don't blow your radio up. This has a top or a lid that fell off. Gotta find that lid. Anyway, I think it's done. Now it would be time to power the radio. Okay, well, we still want to put the speaker thing back on now. Let's do that. So to do that, I'm just gonna move this onto here. You gotta pull that out to get the board out because it'll hit this thing. So you need all the width you can get, all the length. I think I lost one of the screws for this. This radio was kind of an old beat up one that I bought. It works pretty good though. I gotta calibrate the frequencies on it next. Make sure it's calibrated, but when you turn this thing on, it doesn't come on. That's been kind of a bummer. All right, put these back in. These are probably off camera now. There we are. Find the screwdriver that puts these in. There's one. Put this one in. I'm probably off camera again. I'm just putting in the 3 screws to hold the speaker assembly down, and now we're going to put in 2 Phillips on the side of the speaker, and then we're ready for power. I think ready for a power test. Shall we make another video for that one? I suppose so. All right, get the speaker in. I guess I'll cock the radio around so I can show you what I'm doing. Just turn the whole thing around. There's 2 little screws here you put in to get the speaker. And I put the speaker in, new speaker, because I didn't know the radio had a problem with that DC minus 5 volts. So I just thought the speaker was broken, and it wasn't. So I never encountered this problem. And I thought, the speaker sounds horrible. This speaker does sound better. It was a $15 speaker off of Amazon. I feel lucky I found it, and it looks pretty nice. Not that it looks better in this thing, but it probably sounds a little better. This radio is made in '93, 103, let's see, 2003, 13. Speaker has 30-year-old technology that's better. It's advanced by 30 years. It's a better speaker, of course. Instead of being made in Japan, it's made in China, but that's fine. The Chinese make some pretty good stuff these days. All right, this is all put back together. The whole thing now would be to apply power to this thing and see if it goes. Tighten up the screws over here. And I think we're ready for power. Let's go do it and see what happens. All right. My glasses fell on the floor. I gotta find those things. See that? These always fall on the floor and I'm working. There we go. Let's tote this thing over to the desk and see what it does. I'm gonna move it over the desk and then bring the phone along and show you guys what's going on. All right, sorry about the motion here. There's the amplifier that I'm still working on. There's the amplifier internals that have the 2 PA boards. Anyway, it's in the middle of the floor because, I don't know, that's where I put it. So all we're gonna do with this thing is put on the power wire, make sure the power supply is off. The antenna wire is kind of a hack, but we're gonna put this on. That is going to the amp. The amp will pass it through pass the antenna through, I hope. This should come right on, I would think. Okay, there's the power wire. So if this is fixed, it should pop right on. Let's see what it does. Give it some volume here. Power up. Come on, come on, come on. And yay! So that fixed it. It's working. That's good. So that got our Omni to work right off the bat. And let's go over again what happened here. So I did watch another guy's video on this. People were putting comments from years ago, 6 years ago. Replaced the chip that goes 5 volts to minus 5 volts. Replaced this capacitor, which is a 100 microfarad. Replaced a 10 UF here. And I think I have two 10 UFs under the board because I couldn't get them to come out properly on top of the board. So that's what I did. This board had some pretty scungy parts on it. It's kind of corroded and painful board to work on. So anyway, I'm glad I'm not working this board anymore. I'm glad it's working for now. This was a Harris part, and I don't like putting a Chinese part in here. This part was probably working fine, probably capacitors. But too late now. I didn't put a socket in, and the part is in there. I think I have like either 4 of them left or 9 of them left, so I don't care. Anyway, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for your Tec Omni 6. It's a long video, I know, but this takes time. It takes, as you can see, a half an hour just to get the board back in there. So it's a long process. But there's our radio. So those guys are on there every night, and it always sounds like they're a bit off frequency to me. So either, and these guys are like audio snobs, so either my radio is off frequency or they are. Probably my radio, but the next thing I want to do is get this thing working right so that it receives correctly and hears people where it should hear people, and it transmits correctly. So yeah, that I think it's a master oscillator. Anyway, to make that work correctly, that is the master oscillator here. It has an oven, you can feel it. So I'm going to make sure this thing works on CW mode first, get this thing tuned up reasonably. Actually, yeah. And then you can tweak the sideband. BFO right in here. So you want to get the BFO, LSB, USB, and CW all tune mode all fixed up in there, and then your radio will be perfect. So that's the next step. But I think the issue with this thing was the bad capacitors, maybe a bad chip. I think the chip was fine, but so I bought this radio. It came with no bottom on it, no bottom at all. I did find a bottom for it. And here's the bottom, I think, over here for it. No, where is it? There is a bottom for it somewhere. Just a cover. There's two covers in the bottom. There's a like a silver cover with markings, and then there's a bottom cover. So this bottom cover I'm missing for this radio. I never got that with it. I guess I could use another bottom cover. Okay, yeah, here's the next thing that goes on the radio. So this part was missing, and I didn't want to put this on until the radio was fixed and aligned. And then I'll put this on the radio on the bottom. Some guy sold this. I was surprised I could find this thing, but this goes on next. And then I don't really have a bottom like that. I guess I could put a bottom on from a Paragon. Doesn't matter, it's all the same stuff. There's a Paragon right there. All right, the video's long enough. I appreciate you riding along. If you have an Omni 6, I hope this helped you. God bless, have a great day. And wish me luck on fixing this darn thing. I've had no luck fixing this Hercules 444 board in here yet. Wish me luck.